Hello everybody. In this video you will be learning about constructors. So the agenda of my video will be what are constructors, what are static constructors, why do we need constructors, and how to create a constructor. So let's get straight into it. So first I'm going to talk about what are constructors. So a constructor is a special type of method that is called when we create an instance of a class, that is an object of a class. So why do we need constructors? So a constructor is used to initialize the variables of fields while creating an instance of a class. Initialize means assigning some value to the variable of fields. A constructor is necessary in each and every class that you create. If you have not created a constructor, then the compiler will automatically create a default parameterless constructor. If you don't have a constructor, then you cannot create an instance of a class, but do not worry if you have not created a constructor. The compiler will automatically create a constructor. So now I'm going to talk about how you can create a constructor. So the syntax for creating a constructor is inside a class that's called student, I've created a constructor that is called student. And the constructor name should always be the same as the class name itself. So first, access modifier, and if you notice there's no return type like any other methods, so like that, and inside these brackets after the constructor name you can put in the parameters, and the signature of the constructor is constructor name and the parameters. If the signatures of the constructors are all the same, then you will get an error. If there should be a difference between the order of the parameters, or there should be more or less parameters. So curly braces. So that is the body of the constructor. Now I will talk a bit about overloading constructors. So what overloading constructor means is creating constructors with a different order of parameters or a different number of parameters. So the constructor should be the class name itself, like I said, and the constructor should not have any return type like how we have for a method. Even that, you can create a number of constructors with different signatures. So you cannot put different names, right, for the constructor. So that is when overloading constructors comes into play. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what static constructors are. So the syntax for creating a static constructor is I've created a class called student. You already will know the syntax for creating a static class. And if you notice, there's no access modifier here, like as for an instance class that had public, and there's no access modifier and return type. There's only static keyword and constructor name bracket, and you should not put parameters in static constructors or else you'll get an error. So next we will talk more about what are static constructors. So as I said, a static class can have only one constructor. Yeah, I didn't say that. So a static class can only have one constructor, and that should be a static parameterless constructor. Of course, like I said, a static constructor should not have any access modifiers, like I said. And if there's an access modifier, like how in this case it's there, then there's an error here, right? And we cannot decide when to call a static constructor. The compiler will take the job of triggering the static constructor. We can only assure one thing, that the constructor will be the first member called before any other member of the class is called. Now we are going to do the Visual Studio demo. I'll just fire up Visual Studio. Okay, so here I've fired up Visual Studio. I've created a solution with two projects. One is a class library and the other is a console application. So the core logic will be in the the class library. So I'll just open up the class library. So first here we'll create a constructor. So this is an instance class. So the syntax for that will be public and then the class name brackets for the parameters. So instead of doing all that, I'll just type in CTOR and then click tab. So that converts itself to a constructor. So here we are going to create an application that displays the name and roll number of the student. So to do that, we'll declare two global variables. Oh, I'm sorry, not static, string. And then I'll call this name, semicolon, so that's a field. And integer, int, roll number. Semicolon. So here we'll assign them values. Okay, so here I should put an underscore because that's how we declare private variables. So that's the naming convention. So here we'll assign them values like I said. So underscore name equals it's a string, so you have to put quotation marks. Semicolon and underscore roll number equals 21 semicolon. So now we will create a method to display this value on the console. So public void student info display. I'll name that student info display bracket. The next line curly brackets. So CW tab student. So this is a string. Student name colon space placeholders for the variables 0 and then after that a comma student roll number colon placeholders for the variables 1 and then after the quotation mark comma this will be for what to display inside this placeholder. So here I'll type in underscore name, that is the variable name, comma, and underscore roll number. Okay, so now we will create an object and access that in the console application. In order to create an object, first add a reference of that project. So here I'll right click on references and then click on add reference. And then this kind of a mini window. So click on the checkbox and click OK. Next you have to add and the namespace here. So in order to do that, the using keyword and the namespace name. So the namespace name is student info. I'll copy that. Paste that here. Semicolon. So now let's create the object of the class. So I'll use a var keyword. Object name, student, info, display, equal to new class name. So I'll go to this project and copy the class name, that is student, and paste that here, bracket, semicolon. Now we will call that method here. So student info display, that is the object name dot method name. So student. So I've given them both same names. Bracket, semicolon. Run our program. So Control F5. Okay, so the console opens and it says that the student name is Akshat and the student roll number is 21. So now I will prove that the constructor is the first member of the class that is getting called before any other member of the class is getting called. So I'll just put in breakpoints here, where we call the method one of them, and then I'll go to this project, and then I'll put one here, roll number, where we assign the value. So I'll click on F9, okay, and one here, F9. Okay, so now I'll click on F10. So I've pressed F10, so it'll start from the first line of the our code, and if you click on F10, I'm sorry, F5, then it'll reach on the first debug point. So I'll click on F5 now. So that reaches here. So this is inside the constructor. So first the value of name is assigned, and then the value of roll number is assigned to 21. So let's check the value of name. I'll click on this. Yeah. So the name is Akshat, and as for roll number, it's still not assigned. So again, I'll click on F5. So that goes to the method calling, and then again F5. That comes here. So now the value of roll number will be assigned here. It's 21, and the value of name is Akshat. So as you saw, I've proved that the constructor is the first member of the class that is called when our program is before even calling any other members of the class. So now remove all the breakpoints here. So I'll click on Control Shift F9. So all the breakpoints are gone. So now we are hard coding the values of the name and roll number. So instead of doing that, we can even take the value in from the user. So to do that, we'll again create a constructor, ctr tab. So you can see there's an error. That's because their signatures are the same. Here I will given the parameters. So int roll number this has no underscore in the first, comma, string, name. Okay, so here I will type in underscore name equals the name that is a parameter here, semicolon, and underscore roll number equals roll number that is a parameter here, semicolon. Remove this because we don't want it anymore. So we'll pass the values of these two parameters from the console application. So to do that, I will just remove these brackets and then I'll put in the first bracket and not these brackets, this bracket here. So you can see a constructor that is student, that is a parameterless constructor, and I'll click on the down arrow, and this is the one with two parameters. So here we'll pass the value of the parameters. So not int. First we will pass the value of roll number, that is 21, and the value of the name, so okay. So now we have passed the values of them. Now we can run our program. So control F5. So now we can see that the console opens and the result is all the same. Student name is Akshat and the student roll number is 21. I'll just close that. I will go to this project and now you can see that there is a reference here and earlier there was a reference here. So now we have two constructors, and this is called constructor overloading. The same thing we can achieve it using a static constructor. So to do that, first we have to set the class to static class student, and here we should be static string name, the field, static string name, and here static integer name. And this constructor should have no access modifier because it's a static constructor, static student. So that's it. And here too, there should be no access modifier, static keyword, and there should be no parameters. So I'll just remove that. The static class can only have one static constructor, so I'll remove this. So here there was an error which is gone now. So you can see here there's an error because this does not exist, and even this. We'll assign the values from here itself. So name, subject, and roll number, 21. And this should be public static void. Okay, so now we have created an object which we don't want now. So I'll just remove this. And to access some value inside a static class, you should type in class name dot method name. So I go back to this. Class name is student, which I will copy, and the method name is student info display. Paste that. Okay, so now let us run our program. So control F5, and then the console opens, and you can see the results are again all the same. So now we have proven that you can achieve the same results using a static class and an instance class, but there is a difference between the memory allocations for the static class and the instance class, which I've explained in detail in one of my previous videos. So that's all for this video, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to like and share this video. Please subscribe to my channel for more. Goodbye till the next video.